Okay, diet. Touched on body fat, body weight earlier on.
Yes.
Does it matter what you're eating? Does it matter how it impacts you? How should we come to think about diet from a longevity standpoint?
Great. A diet that can keep your muscle mass at decent levels and does not make you excessively overfat or overweight probably is something like 80% of what we mean by diet's effect on longevity. So if you take two people and they eat two very different diets, but they're roughly the same body composition and size, etc., they're going to get longevity differences from diet alone, but they're not going to be enormous, on the order of probably 5 years or less, just on a heuristic basis. We're not talking about 20 or 30. If someone weighs 600 pounds, yeah, it's 20 or 30 years, if not more.
Yeah.
You know, once
So stop arguing over vegan versus carnivore and instead look at how much they weigh.
Oh my God, by a long shot. Let's put this in perspective with some characters that we can make up in our heads. If a vegan or carnivore, doesn't matter, say, they're 350 pounds at 5'7", and they're like, well, I'm vegan, so it's not a big deal. You're going to be like, bro, that ain't it. Now, if you eat mostly healthy foods, lean proteins, veggies, fruits, whole grains, healthy fats, and mostly unprocessed foods, if you do that, whatever body weight you're at, it absolutely matters for longevity, but it matters a little bit. And that means you should do it. But the biggest thing that you get out of those foods is the ability to do weight control. Because if you are grotesquely overweight, you could be eating fuck all. It matters, but not by a ton.
How much mitochondrial damage and stuff like that is coming from junk processed foods, or is your concern with avoiding ultra-processed foods that they're just more palatable than eating the whole of food version?
It's probably another 80-20 or 90-10 situation where mostly they're just a portal to being really fat. But yeah, there is some decent research that says very processed meats, very processed various other foods do have chemical effects, cellular levels that are absolutely not ideal, especially if the preponderance of your diet is composed of those foods. But if you eat not so healthy foods a few times a week and the rest is healthy, they cannot statistically differentiate you from someone who eats healthy 100% of the time in the mortality or morbidity.
Assuming that you maintain a similar sort of weight.
Correct.
Yeah.
So yes, exactly.
But again, we're fighting with ultra-processed foods are more palatable, often more calorie dense. Go back and watch the fat loss episode that we did before if you want to learn more about that.
That's it. So that's really important stuff. But I think the big takeaway for me is this. If you, kind of two extremes, one we already mentioned, if you are following some ultra healthy diet, either ostensibly healthy or actually healthy, and you have gotten up to 400 pounds and you're not losing weight currently, but you're like, I'm good, I'm eating the new way, it's great, you got a bad thing coming your way. On the other hand, if you happen to be in a position where you are of a healthy weight, you're physically active, etc., all the other variables we'll talk about are pretty well in line, and you are looking at a plate of nachos at a Mexican place with your friends, and they're like, eat some, and you're like, ooh, but they're kind of going to kill me because they're made of chips and those are bad. Sorry, crisps. Does that make your English feel
anglicizing better? Everything.
Yes. That's also probably the wrong move. And it's a wrong move for at least two reasons. One, if in moderation and with all the other factors aligned, you eat some junk every now and again, it's a very difficult story to tell yourself that anything very much matters about if you eat a few chips or zero chips or even 2 bags of chips every now and again. The other way in which it matters is and this is a little bit more about how you approach food. If you approach food in a neurotic fashion, anticipating dangers everywhere, trying to curate your lifestyle to only get the organic, vegan, superfood shit, and really worrying a lot about what goes into your body, you almost certainly will live less time than if you just didn't give a shit and ate mostly good shit, but every now and again just had 10 burritos, no problem.
I love the idea of the stress of trying to be perfect will kill you more quickly than your imperfections.
Depending on the degree of imperfection. But if you're doing a decent job and you're worrying more than that, you're just going insane.
I did a Jeffersonian breakfast with Brian Johnson a couple of months ago.
Okay, I don't know what that means.
So you everybody gets, I think, a minute to speak. And you kind of go around and you've got a topic that you're talking on. And it's a way of, I guess, fostering discussion of some kind.
Okay.
And he was talking about some of the research that him or his team had done. I don't know where it had come from. And he said that eating a McDonald's kills you 12 minutes earlier. That was some of the... And I do wonder, I like what Brian's doing in the same way as I like having a scout in a army that goes and sort of climbs a really dangerous...
Yeah, but I'm not climbing that shit.
I don't want to go up there, but I'm glad he does and maybe tell us some interesting stuff when he comes back down.
Totally.
However, I do wonder, this is one question I haven't got to ask him yet, which is, how are you, or any of the people that are really obsessed with go on the r/longevity Reddit or whatever other versions of that, the NAD discussion forum, the resveratrol discussion forum, all of this David Sinclair stuff from years ago. Mm. I wonder whether those communities have got to the stage yet where they've tried to mediate the longevity-induced stress reduction.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Now, there are a few ways you could go about this. If you are a person who's obsessed with longevity in a glass half full sort of way, you're looking at the variables in your life and you're like, ooh, I want to optimize for longevity. I love my life. I love science. I love being intricate and meticulous. It's just my nature. I love organizing all the variables and being very strict. You're not really stressed when you're doing that. You're actually involved.
It's part of your orderliness.
Yeah. And so not only do you get the benefits of being a perfectionist on never eating any junk, but also you get the benefits of being super involved, which is another big variable we'll discuss later, as seems to have some promise for longevity. But if you're a person who, if they are told, listen, just eat mostly healthy foods and you're good to go, and you're like, oh my God, thank God. But if I tell you, look, every fry you put in your mouth is like 30 seconds less life. Like you're telling your wife something just beautiful about how much you love her on your deathbed. And you're like, and my favorite part of you is, and she's like, that stupid fry from McDonald's stole my husband's soul. If you are a person whom that idea and the pursuit of perfectionism tends to give higher stress levels, I'm going to tell you right now, it's probably not worth it. Just do a good job. Don't try to aim for perfect.
We'll get back to talking to Dr. Mike in 1 minute, but first, I need to tell you about Element. For the last 3 years, I have started my morning every single day with Element. It is a tasty electrolyte drink mix with everything that you need and nothing that you don't. Each grab-and-go stick contains a science-backed electrolyte ratio of sodium, potassium, and magnesium with no coloring, no junk, or any other BS. You might not be underslept, you might not need more caffeine, you might just be dehydrated, and proper hydration is not just about having sufficient fluids in your body, it's having enough electrolytes to allow your body to use that water. Best of all, they have a no questions asked refund policy with an unlimited duration, so you can buy it and try it for as long as you want. If you don't like it for any reason, they'll give you your money back, and you don't even need to return the box. That's how confident they are that you love it. Right now, you can try it completely risk-free and get a free sample pack of all 8 flavors by going to the link in the description below or heading to drinklmnt.com/modernwisdom. That's drinklmnt.com/modernwisdom. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you enjoyed that clip, which, come on, you did, how about watching the full episode with the beautiful Dr. Mike right here?